I have 3 UniFi routers in my home lab. All of them support dual WAN failover, and the UXG-Pro, the old one, even support the weighted load balancing. And for the relatively new UDM-Pro and UXG-Pro, they don't support weighted load balancing yet. As home user, I don't have 2 internet service providers, but I do have a cell phone which can get onto internet, and it can also behave like a hotspot. So when my main internet service is down for whatever reason, I do want to use my cell phone as the backup internet connection. When it comes to iPhone tethering, of course, you can use USB cable. The problem is the other end is a normal USB plug. How you can adapt that, convert that to a RJ45, right? So in my channel, I have another video I talk about for pfSense, how you can use iPhone USB tethering. FreeBSD operating system has the built-in support for USB tethering. Just a normal pfSense custom box can do this type of converting already. But for our UniFi routers, they don't have USB port. All of them, they have 2 WAN ports, but they are either RJ45 or SFP plus ports. You need either a computer act as a router, or you can even use a pfSense. But in this video, we are not going to talk about this because we have a relatively easier option. We can use the wireless tethering way. But here we are missing something. On one hand, it can connect to iPhone via wireless. On the other hand, it can output in the RJ45 port. Basically, you need a new hardware, a wireless bridge. It's very possible you have a wireless router which you don't have use. You can easily convert it to a wireless bridge. In this video, I'm going to use a Netgear R7500. It has built-in wireless bridge support. If your router doesn't have that ability, you may do some research and flash it with some other open source wireless router operating system such as DDWRT. It's very possible you can easily get the wireless bridge support. Let me use my Netgear R7500 as an example to show you how to configure the wireless bridge mode. Of course, every router has its own UI. Go to the Advanced tab, and under Advanced Setup, there's a wireless bridge option. Select it, choose Enable Bridge Mode. About the IP address, I leave it as default. Wireless router will give me a private network IP address, not the internet IP address for sure. And here, if you click this button, you need to set up the Wi-Fi client setting. Let me click on it. So this is the wireless client dialog. You need to choose whether it's 5G or 2.5G, and then type in the SSID, choose the security option, and give the password. Pretty straightforward, nothing special. You apply the changes. The wireless router will try to connect to your cell phone's hotspot. If it's successful, you will see the 5G LED light is on the router. Then you are good to go. It's time to connect to the UniFi router from the wireless router. On the screen, you see I connect the red cable, one end, to the UXG-Pro's first port, which is a WAN port. The other end, let me show you the back side of the wireless router. I connect the other end of the Ethernet cable to the wireless router's normal LAN port. That's it. After connecting the wireless router, let's go to UniFi Controller to check the current status for the UXG-Pro. By the way, my UXG-Pro is part of my home lab, so it's behind my main router for my home network. But it doesn't matter for this type of testing. Click on the UXG-Pro. If I go to setting, it only has 4 ports, the upper 2. They are the WAN ports. And as you can see from the icon, the right one is 10 gigabits, showing blue color, and it has the special icon indicating it's the current main WAN port. And the left one is showing green color, which is 1 gigabits. And it doesn't have that special sign, which means it's currently just a backup. It's not really active. This green one is the one I just connected. I connected with Netgear wireless router. Let's validate whether it's really the case. Let's go to the overview. On the WAN part, let's show what's the WAN, the first WAN part. It's showing the IP address, which is my home lab's IP address, and the speed is 10 gigabits. Because it's one port, it's a primary internet port. And let's go to WAN 2. Here it's showing the IP address. Remember I mentioned when you configure the wireless bridge on your wireless router, I leave the default setting for IP address. It is not a public internet IP address, it's just a private network IP address. But from the ISP part, you can see it's already correctly recognized my cell phone's service provider. Then let's go to the internet setting to check the current failover status for the two WAN ports. Let me go to setting and click on internet, and then let me click the first one. This is my primary WAN port for this router. In the advanced setting, you don't see the failover option at all because this is the primary WAN port. It doesn't give you that information, right? If we go to the other WAN port, which is WAN 2, here under the advanced, you can see the load balance setting. It's failover only, which is the only option available for now for UXG-Pro. It doesn't support the weighted load balancing yet, but it doesn't matter because this video is about failover. To test whether the internet is really working, in the right side, I have a Linux virtual machine connected to the LAN part of this UniFi router. Let me ping Google. Yeah, I can ping it. Next, let's simulate a internet failure. Let me disconnect the cable which is currently connecting the main WAN port. Okay, I have disconnected the cable from the primary WAN port. Let's go to the UXG-Pro again. Go to setting. Okay, as you can see, this right side WAN port is showing gray color. It's disconnected. And then the left side is still showing green. And notice the special sign here, which indicate now it is active WAN port. Let's see whether we have any notification captured in the network controller. Yeah, see here, the primary internet connection fell over to your secondary, which happened 1 minute ago. Perfect. That's exactly what we expect. In the right side, let me ping Google again. Let's see whether we can connect to it. Yeah, I'm able to connect to it. You can see the time is a little bit longer than previous case because I'm using the cell phone connection at this moment. The testing was successful. The internet successfully failed over to the cell phone's connection. In the end of this video, let's go back to this diagram. Even though the title of this video, I mentioned iPhone, but in fact, it doesn't matter. You can use Android to do the same thing as long as your cell phone support hotspot function. And then you need a hardware to connect to your cell phone via Wi-Fi, and it can output in RJ45. The easiest way for my case is I use a previously useless wireless router and set it as a wireless bridge. It works perfectly fine in this use case. Once you have a RJ45 output, you can connect to your router. In this video, I only tested the UXG-Pro, right? But it works exactly the same way for the other UniFi routers. Okay, thanks for watching.